In this episode, we had the pleasure of speaking with Judge David and Reverend Jacqueline Atkins.
Yes, it was the best conversation. We had a great time. It was very candid, very laid back. And as we continue this month of March in ministry,
yes,
we have had the best time ever. We have had great guests, and this one is no different.
They will be celebrating 50 years of marriage, so it's a lot of gems being dropped in this episode.
You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned.
Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time. Talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Loving Beyond the I Do podcast.
With your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie.
That's me. All right, so this week, who do we have with us in the studio?
In the studio, we have Judge David and Reverend Jackie Atkins. Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's such an honor to have you guys as our guests this week.
Yes, it is. This is a special one, guys. I know this month has been really, really special. Every time I said that, we had the senior minister on, we had Reverend Sherry on, then we got Reverend Jackie on.
That's right.
And Judge, oh, come on now. This is packed.
Don't get better than that.
That's
know,
right. So this is the month of March, and we're talking about marriage and ministry. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
You want to get started, sir?
I know it's so many years, just a little bit.
Yeah, I can take up the whole hour. But no, I was born in Missouri, moved here with the family when I was 2, and went to public school, Harlan High School, right. Mighty Falcons.
All right, shout out.
And then went on to college, went to the University of Illinois and undergrad. As a history major, and then on to law school. And from law school, I actually left Illinois and went to Pittsburgh. Thought I wanted to be a big-time labor lawyer.
Oh, wow.
And while I was there, I ended up in the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal prosecutor, transferred back here as a federal prosecutor, and then went on to be a public defender. And now I've been on the bench for 18 years.
Oh, all right, Judge. All right, there it is. How long you guys been married?
You didn't mention when you met me and stuff.
That's coming, my love.
Okay.
Of course, I did meet her down at the University of Illinois.
Oh,
okay. But there's a story to be told in that regard.
All right.
Yeah. And I am Jacqueline Triche Atkins, born and bred in Chicago. Got a phenomenal family. Mom and dad both have passed, but indeed, each day I'm trying to be more like my mama, even though I could have knocked her head off while I was born. But she was just wonderful, and my dad was wonderful also. We lived in Hyde Park, and then moved to Chatham, and then I went to Champaign and undergrad and law school, and taught school for a year in between. Spent a summer in Africa, which was awesome, laying church foundations, etc. And when I finished law school, somebody asked me to marry him, so I moved to Pittsburgh and married him. And it's been like that ever since. So we have 2 phenomenal children. My daughter is a mechanical engineer with NASA, and we're real proud of her. And my son is a phenomenal actor who just finished up a run here at the Goodland Theater doing Gem of the Ocean. He is currently in Hawaii filming for a recurring role in CSI Hawaii. And he has 3 children, 2 children, 1 on the way. We got another grandson on the way.
Oh, congrats.
And my daughter has 1 son, and she's in Huntsville, as I said, with NASA. So we have been totally blessed. I have siblings, a whole bunch of them. And what's so wonderful about that is when we were growing up, people used to say, aren't you an only child? And that really reflected not on me being spoiled or selfish, but it reflected on how well my mama handled us. And we were 7 of us, and we all looked good, acted good, knew that we was gonna be good, and my daddy would bring home some good treats for all of us. So,
and I like her parents a lot.
They were good to you too.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's go back to the meeting. Let's go back to the story, to the romance. So how did we meet?
Well, it's like this. I was counseling his girlfriend at one point.
Wait, hold on.
That was a long time. And we were both dating other people. And she happened to be in the same dorm, but that was then. And then a couple of years later, my girlfriend came down and we were at a party. And I said, we weren't dating. We were both still separated. I said, go on and try to go on date David. He is really nice. You can do that. And they never hit it. And to this day, she says, I can't believe I let him go and you married him. I don't believe that.
Wow.
Can you believe she tried to set me up with somebody else?
But I'm sure that's her version, David. What was your version of what really happened?
Well, the way I met her is that we both were history majors. And I saw this young lady in class and looked across the way at her, and we were in an exam, and it looked like she was taking her exam with her eyes closed. I'm serious. Her ink pen was moving. I know that. I said, what in the world? Because back when we were in school at Illinois, there were 30,000 students, but it was only a couple of hundred Black folks. So we kind of stood out everywhere we went.
You wanted to know if she was cheating. That's what you were. How was she looking at?
No, we were far apart at the time. But then I saw her walking down the quad at the University of Illinois. If you've ever been down there, it's a long walk, and she had on this purple outfit.
Wow! Look at that.
They call them the hot pants. And maybe I'm not supposed to tell all this.
Yeah, anyway, tell it all, David. Yeah, because she gave us the edited version. She talking about at a party. She didn't even say when she met you. She said when she tried to set you up.
Exactly. There you go. But now the real setup was I saw her walking down the quad, and I had to meet this young lady. And that's kind of how we started hitting it off. And after a while, we were friends initially. And I did ask her to marry me. Smartest thing I ever did.
All right.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So how did it go from Reverend Jackie? How did it go from go date David and then you started dating? Like I don't see the connection.
It was interesting because it was, I believe, I want to say a freshman year or sophomore year, and we didn't really start dating until the summer before our law school. And so we were just friends. He and I were really just really good friends. And at the point where I could go over his place and spend the night, it was totally platonic. And my girlfriend would say, yeah, but it really was. It was just totally platonic because he was in love with somebody else, you see? Seriously, I mean, we were really, really good friends. And then I graduated. He went on to law school, but I came to Chicago and taught school for a year. And then that August, after I was about to go back to law school, he took me to the beach. And I got to tell you this story. He asked me to go out. He had been in law school for a year. He came by the house. We went out and I had on my bikini. I was looking really cute. She knows. But when he brought me home, what he did was he kissed me right here on the cheek. He said, I'll see you later in September. And I thought that was so nice. And so then in September, when I went down to start law school, he was down there. That's when we seriously started dating. Yeah.
I wish I could say that the kiss on the cheek was part of my smooth program in Tammuz, but
you don't even remember it.
I do remember it. I just liked the girl. That's all.
You didn't want to move too fast.
That's it. As a
He
matter
was a
of fact, you
gentleman.
might have thought I was slow.
It was really a very, very, the kind of thing you kind of say,
Yeah.
But that actually leads into a beautiful piece of advice. I know we're going to get into it early, but so that I don't forget. It's really important in my judgment over all these years is that you be friends. You want to know the person before you do the marriage thing, if at all possible.
Yeah.
You want it to be a situation where if you weren't married to them, you'd still like them. You would be you could be friends with them. And I think that's what's really, really important.
Yeah, I want to echo that too. We were friends. We were good friends. And like I said, people thought something was happening. I know my best girlfriend used to say when I come back to the dorm, you studied, right? We were just good friends. And I think that has stood very well as you move into, you will do to a lover things you would never do to a friend.
For sure.
It's important. If that friendship is there, you can move beyond the lover, but you're going to hit friendship before you hit crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So from listening to this story, I would say Reverend Jackie kept you in the friend zone. Right, David? Because you wanted to be more than friends for a while. She just kept you in that friend zone.
And
she kept saying, he's my friend.
And took that kiss on the cheek.
Yes, indeed.
I was in that friend zone too. Yeah.
Keeping him in that friend zone. I think that was the best decision we ever made. Right?
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It wasn't just establishing the friendship, though. I think it made them, I don't want to say this, and you desire us more, right? Because they felt like they couldn't. You want more of what you can't have. So being a friend was a good, but they felt like, okay, at least I'm close enough. One day I'm going to get it. One day I'm going to get it. That kiss on the cheek was one day I'm going to get it.
Yeah, I'm going to work my magic. I say, ain't nobody a gentleman out here like me. I ain't got much competition now.
All right, so you got married. So you guys...
Hold on. First of all, how long have you guys been married?
Ooh,
we just got finished planning for September 2023.
It'll be 50
years. Yes.
Congratulations.
Oh, we got a lot of stuff to uncover after 50 years now. Come on.
Let's see how much we can pull back.
I am so excited because we doing it. We're doing it next September. Oh yeah, Jason and Tina Marie, we got something for y'all at that point too. But that's we are gonna do some huge kind of traveling all over the world and then
we're planning it already.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
All right,
that is
wonderful. So when did you go into ministry, and how did you know you wanted to go into ministry?
Wow, I started studying. It's so interesting in 1990. However, in 1990 when I started, and then I had to stop. I'll tell you why. Then in 93. Each time I started at Johnny Coleman Institute with Reverend Helen Carey. My dad went into the hospital. And,
every time, huh?
You can't miss you. We had class maybe 4 days a week and 4 nights a week. And so if I were going to miss, I couldn't stay in the ministry studies. And that my dad, he was in the hospital. You know where I was going to be in the evening?
In the hospital.
Yes.
But after 93, I started again and he went back in. And then finally, it was about 96. I just kind of was not doing anything. A friend of mine Karen took me to hear Joe Hill. And I didn't really know Joe from CUT. I had worked with him only as an attorney, a state tax attorney, and set up something for John and myself and some others to do some estate tax planning with people at the church. But I didn't know him. But as it worked out, the day I went, what happened, he asked, who wants to study the ministry? And I went, stood up there, and I spent the next 13 years was it from 96? No, it wasn't 13. Yeah, 2000, 96, 97, 98. Maybe it was 98 when I first went over there. It was 98. And so I spent 13 years. I studied with him. Then I was ordained. and did the ministry in that regard. How did I know? Tina, I have always been engaged in enabling people from the days when I told you I spent the summer in Africa, laying foundation churches, talking to young people, really just really having a phenomenal time, having people understand who they were and getting to know who I was. And then when I finished law school, getting involved with the YWCA with women. And so for me, the ministry is an opportunity, is a vehicle for you to take all of God and help people understand you got it too. And guess what you can do with it. And so I was able to, with the ministry, wrap my legal training, wrap my skills that God has given to me to do a lot of different things, both inside the church and outside of the church.
So David, when she started into it, what was the conversation? What were your thoughts? I'm sure you supported her, but what were your thoughts when she said that? I mean, how did the conversation go?
Well, when she told me that she wanted to go into the ministry, I thought she was just simply talking about being a teacher, maybe teaching Bible class, teaching a couple of ministerial courses, but did not know that she really wanted to do it full time. I'm saying to myself, babe, you're making six figures. You're a corporate lawyer, and you're starting over.
Right.
I'm behind you 100%. But is this really something that you want to do? Maybe you should try to do it part time and continue with being a lawyer.
I did for a while. And I really saw how serious she was about the ministry, and started seeing just the fantastic impact that she's had on so many people. I started to get jealous because she had found her calling, and as much
and
as
you were stuck at the bench.
As much as I enjoy the law and being a judge and all of that, she has really found her niche, found her calling, and she found it early on. And I said, okay, well let's do it. I'm here for you. Things are going well for me, and it's going to go well for both of us. So that's really how it was. It wasn't any argument or anything or any negativism. It was an adjustment. It was a change because, of the things that we always did. 6 figures
wasn't 6 figures no more. No.
Right.
It's funny you say that. I spoke with the lady yesterday, and she was saying that because she was a lawyer. And once her and her husband decided to have kids, she stopped working. And she said every so often he brings it up like, I thought you were going to be a lawyer. So, you decided to stay home, and that's wonderful.
When they got married,
right. She's like, he was counting on that extra 6-figure income also. So it's funny that you say that.
But I want to mention this too, because it's kind of a huge takeaway in that for us both, we have always had, from the time before we got married and after, we've had kind of different lives. We have interest. At one point he was into karate and blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't having any parts of it. And I was doing this. And then I got into that. And I would take trips with girlfriends. And what has been great for me anyway is that always in the evening or when we come back together, it's like, hey, what's going on? What you been doing? And I just encourage everyone. You didn't fall in love with somebody for them to become you. That's not what happened. And having interest, having what seemingly sounds maybe weird individual lives and coming together in the evening, it was great. We were blessed, though. I did have help while other children were growing up. So we would come in the evening because our work lives were very different. And so we'd come in and have dinner with the kids, and we could talk about after that what we had done. But I remember that, and I'll hold on to that even now. He may hang out some, with some friends every now and then. I'll go traveling with girlfriends, but it is okay because when we start having to get back together. Yeah.
Wonderful.
David, and that's cool. And one thing I want to say about that is it's okay to have interests outside of you two together. I mean, and that's the problem I think a lot of couples struggle with. Either you with me, or if you're not with me, I'm jealous where you at, what you're doing, all that type of stuff. So it's good to have an interest and go out and have fun and socialize and do whatever. And you come back and you guys celebrate each other.
Based on the foundation of trust. You have to trust the partner that you're with.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's the most important thing.
So David, Go ahead.
And if you don't, because I can think of a period when I went through of kind of saying, where is he? then you got to be able to talk when it makes sense to talk, but shut up when it makes sense to shut up.
That's right. Yep. That's right. Good point. Yeah, it's a part of every marriage, right? Mm-hmm. As humans, we have the human tendency of jealousy. Where it might be, where we wonder, wait a minute, there's a lot of hours we're separated and he hasn't called me and he's been gone all day. So, but we have to, like you said, we have to be able to communicate and know when there's a need for communication and not a need for, come on, I don't know why I get lost for words sometimes.
I don't know.
Where you're blaming someone or you're actually,
I got a bat.
Right.
I shouldn't pull out my bat or anything like that.
So it's where you're trying to say, you're kind of looking at the person and thinking they've done something wrong and they haven't.
Right. Accusing
them. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Right.
So,
but it's nice to know when to have that conversation and how to go about it.
And one is how to have the conversation.
Right. And we did an episode on how to argue. You can do it respectfully. Right. So, we're not going to agree on everything. So when we don't, we can come to the table and have that conversation, whether it's, we elevate our voice or whatever. As long as you do it respectfully, you can get through that situation.
That's right.
I think you're right. I don't like elevated voices. He doesn't elevate his voice. I had to learn not to elevate mine. My mother was an elevator of voices. She
was an elevator.
It is what you really, and it depends on the longer you're together. If it's a loving, we're happy. I like him. I like hanging with him. And if that's the case, then you start really knowing it's all right. It's okay. Yeah.
He calmed your crazy. He calmed your elevator.
But I also kind of excited his calm. Okay,
there you go.
Right.
It's my hope that this is being recorded because I'm going to play this back for her plenty of times. I like him. I love him.
She says she doesn't do the elevated voices. Wait, let me
rewind that.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I had to learn how not to elevate my voice, and I still do it sometimes.
We're working on that.
Yeah, but sometimes when I'm passionate about things, I'm just kind of expressing it.
Yeah,
and it comes across as something different.
Yeah.
It may seem a little elevated, but it's just disgusting.
Right.
Don't give her an out.
That's right.
I don't know.
I know you still love me, even when your voice get a little high. Because I got some bass in mine too.
At that point, it's not even about love. It's just about, I don't know. So we're just going to move on. This is about David and Jackie.
Yes.
All right. So what has if any, because when you first go into it, what you've never encountered, you don't know what you're going to encounter. So what problems or what challenges did the ministry kind of put into the marriage that you didn't expect? Because it does require long hours. It requires sacrifice. It requires you being there for other people and not being able to be at home all the time. So what were some of the challenges that you didn't anticipate that you kind of worked through?
I didn't.
Oh, now she's going to let you talk, David. She looked at you.
I didn't really anticipate the amount of time it would take. And the amount of time that she would need working with other people and counseling them and so forth. But, over time, we've actually been able to kind of gain a balance. And one of the challenges that we've had, but working through it, is that in addition to the ministry, this girl does everything. She's involved in this, right. She's involved in that. And everything she gets involved in, she gets involved with it 110%.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's real important, I think, for there to be that balance so that we can spend more time together, do more things together, and that type of thing.
So
Which is to say that now I'm real busy myself.
Thank you.
When you add my busy with her super busy, then
it leaves no time. So how do we find that time?
Well, it's interesting. He is extremely supportive. That he is extremely supportive, and we do find time in that we'll just do stuff. I will.
I love going to California. See, when we go to California, that's when we can really chill. And we only go a couple of times a year, but we go for an extended period. So that's good for us for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, we have a place up in Lake Geneva that we haven't been up to as much though because of the ministry.
We have to use their place, baby. Remember we
And we just had it renovated. You got to come on up.
We'd have
God
a great
is good. He always open them doors.
Yeah.
Oh, God is good.
We're still trying to get up, but I think that we it really, even though we're busy, generally toward the evening we're together, and generally we're just kind of hanging out quietly. I mean, that's that kind of
is that what you guys look for?
That makes it, it's kind of like the salve. Whatever's going on, we can talk, we can whatever.
Okay, so you guys look forward to getting together in the evening and just saying, "Hey, this is our quiet time. This is our time to just be with one another."
We'll eat together and have a glass of wine and just kind of unwind and talk about different things. And then we may call the grandkids or the kids and talk and enjoy, and they send us pictures and so forth. So we know how to make that balance, reach that balance. And I think that's one of the keys. You got to have a balance in every aspect of your life, because otherwise things can go off the rails real quick. And
that was my point, because lots of times speaking with married couples, they say that the thing they lack is intimacy, whereas the woman is craving more time with the husband. And, the husband may be craving more sex or whatever, but it's that time that they can't seem, either she's always busy or he's always busy. And it creates some type of challenges because they're not able to express to each other how to bridge that. Right. What they really want. People have a tendency of it's that last bag of chips. You're arguing over something that is really not the issue. Mm-hmm. And the issue is, how do I want more of you. And by Reverend Jackie being super busy, I know there's a lot of women who spread themselves thin, or they're all, involved in a lot of things, and the male feels as though they're neglected, or you're not spending enough time with me. How do you tell couples to do that? Like you said, it's important because you can run off the rails, but how do you tell a couple, what advice could you give them on how to really make that balance? Because a lot of couples out there don't know.
Find out what you do like to do together. Find out what you like. We love to go to the theater.
And commit to doing it
we
together.
We love to travel. Yeah. Both of us love to work out. They'll be on different days. But find out what you love to do together. And then I'm going to say, too, make sure you're living your life fully. Because so often, women I've counseled, the challenge is not so much that he is doing something, but she is sitting there waiting. What? I don't have anything to. Get something to do. Get busy. But I find out what you both like, and then make a commitment to doing it together. I
make a commitment to coming together in the evening. That's what we were talking about.
That's really
we
important.
always, regardless of how busy we are, we still have that evening carve-out time for ourselves.
So
and
what about...
That's what's so important. So every evening we're at least together for a while in the evening.
With a glass or half a glass of wine.
We put the work aside. We put the issues aside that are outside of something we want to talk to each other about, and we just kind of relax with each other. And we like being with each other too. So
that's a key right there.
I was going to say, what about people who may still have kids, grown kids in the house, or college kids or high school kids that want to come together, but sometimes, like, how do you balance your things with your kids and your busy schedule with work and your busy schedule outside of the home, like trying to find that time?
You got a basement, or you got their bedroom, so they got to you have to have some space. Mm-hmm. Have to have some space in your house that is your space. Yeah, you gotta do that, and people can get hurt feelings if they want to, but I need some space that's our space, and that's one way of doing it.
And if they're not real young, I mean, you tell them this is me and your mama's time. And after a while, they'll understand and know that, hey, listen, mom and dad, they together, and they talking about different things. And that type of thing. And we'll just wait until after they're done, or we'll get to them before the time that they've carved out for themselves.
I will tell you, it is sometimes, though, because they're individuals, they're grown, and it is a little different than when they were little, because you can put them in bed. And when our kids come here during the holidays, it's so great to see them come. And
we have such a great time, and we love them.
We do. I mean, our kids are really nice people. They're I mean, aside from being our kids, when we go to California, we have a ball. But it's always good to say, we're going home, So
it's nice.
Get back to your routine a little bit.
As excited as you want them to be there, you're even more excited when they're leaving in tomorrow. Like, look at the house back.
We've been there.
I know. I could just empathize with those people who are not empty nesters. Poor things. Poor things. I just say that. But so, as you guys, Reverend Jackie, he was speaking of the time issue. And being able to talk about that. What were your thoughts? How did that conversation evolve when you realized that you were out of the house a whole lot and may have been, even though he's supportive, you kind of want to make sure that he's still okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's the key. I mean, that's always been the key, because I do have a streak of independence. That's the AY. My mama did. It's her fault. But
you trying to be more like her?
But what is important, I am very aware of him and how I'm aware of him when he don't want me to be aware of him, of his feelings and how he's feeling. And so I will try to pull back, and not to my detriment, but just in honor of how he's feeling, or to make them laugh. I love when David laughs. It cracks me up. I just love that. And so, and that's, in times, particularly early on in my ministry, when I was really the executive minister and the lawyer for the church, it was lots and lots of time. We were buying a building. We were renovating a building. I was doing Sunday services. I was giving a message. I was whatever. And then after a while, and he was extremely supportive. But it was a time, and I'd have to just kind of back up and pay attention, because that's my husband, and I did want him to feel comfortable. I wanted to continue with his support too. I think that if he had not been so supportive, maybe I would have had a chance to get attitude. He was always very, very supportive. Everybody I know who I work with in some effort or initiative, they love David more than they love me because he's just that kind of person.
Well, you understand that, don't you?
Anyway,
I do, David. I do.
It really did require, and I tell women, pay attention.
Yes.
If they're really starting to feel some kind of way, you need to figure out how you can help that feeling pass and make it be okay. That's what you do.
Yeah, I've never been able to figure out how she knows when she's pushed the envelope almost off the table.
Yeah.
And she dials it back real quick. And I'm saying, boy, I wish I knew how to turn this on and off. But she just knows when. I don't know if it's body language or something I say, or if it's a book she read or what.
It's an aura that comes out.
Right.
She knows.
My house is really, I love my house. I love walking into my house. And you want that loving feeling. And when a person is just kind of off kilter, and that loving feeling can't be there. And so you need to work with it, and this is selfish, and this comes back to this. Come on, if you are really loving yourself, then you really want to work with that feeling because you want the love to be everywhere. You want to be enjoying it, and so loving yourself says, I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna see, what can I do? Maybe I can clear his plate away, or I give him a piece of cake and he wants a surprise, or I'll bring a glass of wine back there, or something that will shift him just a little bit, and everything will feel like, So, and this is important too. This is not for when you've had a real confrontation. This is for living day to day when people can get off kilter, when your feelings can get out of whack for a minute. This is what I'm talking about. If it's a real issue, you got to sit down and look at it, take it apart, and put it together, get help. I mean, I'm a strong proponent of marital counseling. If it's a real issue and you love each other, it doesn't mean you don't love each other because you have a real issue. It may mean that you need to get some help.
I was actually going to go to that because, as you said, if you can tell them they're a little off or whatever and do something different, sometimes it may be easier said than done for women, especially when we let it get too far.
Well, yes, but also it's nice to work. When something just isn't right. It's not a problem, but just something isn't right. If you pay attention to that and try to address it at that time, it won't blow up into something big.
There you go.
This is talking about management here, right? So just like, she comes in, Reverend Jackie come in, I love my house. I love my aura of my house. And when something's off, I need to try to fix that. Yeah. So this is something that you listeners out there could pick up on.
Ownership though, right? Right, Reverend Jackie,
but
ownership.
You have to. It's about loving yourself, loving your space, loving your mate, loving the whole thing about the whole situation. So you don't have those big blow up situations because you know how to put those out ahead of time.
That's good.
Yeah. So for those people who do, what is the advice for those, right? Because we get wrapped up in life. Mm-hmm. We let life become us and it kind of leads us instead of us leading life. So for those marriages out there where they're at the point where it's blow ups, right? You come in and it's a blow up and now it's pointing fingers. It's your fault. It's your fault. Well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. How do we get back to that manage? How do they get back to that space where we can actually sit down and have a conversation without elevated voices?
I know one thing that has helped us throughout our marriage, and it's so important. As far as I'm concerned, you've got to establish your rules of engagement at the very beginning of the marriage. I mean, we never hit each other. She don't hit me. I don't hit her. We don't cuss each other out. We don't say things that demean each other personally, because when you do that, that's worse than hitting them. If you demean someone such that it goes to their core, it's very difficult to come back from that. So you've got to have those kind of rules of engagement. Even when you get to the point where your voices are elevated and, you're trying to get your point across, she's trying to get her point across, you still don't do those three things. And we ultimately will end up somehow going to our places big enough where we can kind of go to our separate space and kind of, I call it for myself, just reflecting on the whole issue and how I can best approach it and still get my point across. And she's in her other area, and then we come back again at some point and address the issue. And that certainly has helped in the past.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's like an adult timeout, right? It's like everybody go to their separate corners and just cool off for a second.
Yeah.
Just because you're not getting anything accomplished.
Yeah, it's not like we just immediately turn and walk to our separate room, but somehow at some point, even though the voices are elevated, we don't get in each other's face and all of that, but we just kind of move away from each other, give each other a little space so that we can, so cooler heads can prevail.
I want to add two things to that too. One, and this is reflecting back, that's not the time to walk out your house.
Oh, there you go. Come on, you're saying something now. Yes.
Find a space in your house. It's not the time to walk out your house. Number two, I tell this particularly to women. Men don't do it as often. Your argument with your husband does not need to go to your mama's ear. I promise you, it doesn't. It doesn't. and the reason why is because that's your mama. And she may love her son-in-law, but that is still your mama. And when you have moved beyond it, she is still trying to work through, he did what? And so you really tried I believe in counseling. I believe in spiritual counseling. And if it doesn't work, I believe in marital counseling with psychologists. But taking it to your mama, even quite frankly, for me, unless it's a friend that is a constructive kind of person who's going to hear you and let it go, taking it anywhere outside the house is really, you're walking on possibly dangerous territory.
Absolutely. I would agree.
As folks say, keep folks out your business.
I don't know. And even though that's said, but with the truth of it, like you said, you will overcome as a couple before that person will forgive and overcome because they're not married to your mate. They're not in love with your mate, and they're not willing to forgive your mate the way you need to. So it just makes it more complicated. That's why the best way to straighten out a marital problem is within the marriage.
Yep, between the two people.
That's exactly right.
There you go.
That's
so
good.
Being married 50 years, what is the biggest advice that you can give someone just like span over those 50 years real quick? And what is the biggest advice that may have been something that was really challenging that took you guys a while to kind of reconcile or understand? What is the biggest tidbit you can give someone that is in marriage, ministry, and just dealing with everyday issues?
For me,
that was quick, boy.
Yeah, you quick on the draw here. There you go.
No, I'm just gonna say a marriage is a partnership and not a dictatorship.
Yes.
Because I want her to be all that she can be, and I want her to want me to be all that I can be, so that we can be partners and go through this life and rise to the highest level that we possibly can. But I have to understand, and she has to understand, that neither of us is right all the time.
Right.
Now, of course, I'm right most of the time.
Yeah,
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
But it's got to be a partnership and not a dictatorship. And I know a lot of marriages where one party believes that it's my way or the highway, that they are supposed to always take the lead and everything they say has to go. But, sometimes it's almost like we used to call it like stepping. Sometimes I got to push my point, take the lead. Look, this is babe, this is how it's got to go. And she'll step back. And then other times she'll take the lead and then I need to step back. But, it's a process. It's not an immediate thing. But I think if you have the basic premise that, hey, listen, we in this thing together. We in it to win it. Like
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would say I agree with that. Maybe. Well, I do agree with that. But there's three components, really, as you asked that question. One we mentioned already, and I just can't emphasize it enough. Make sure you're friends. That means you have some of the same values. You have some of the same likes. You have some of the same even dislikes, perhaps. Even if you have different kind of temperaments, they're complementary. That's all in friendship. Then the love, recognizing the love, and then you compound that with some common things you want to do, some common goals. With children, we wanted to have children. We wanted to travel. We wanted to have always live in a space that was like a lot of space, and we're family people. I have siblings, that he had a sibling before she passed. So we are often with our siblings, and both of us like that. We have fun with that. So we have common goals layered on top of that friendship and love. And that will take you a long way. That will get you through the crap and the arguments and the so-called important stuff that people have been fussing about. When you have that basic friendship, the overriding love, and some common goals, some common, even just in terms of a common approach to how you handle with your siblings. I will tell you, I will confess. So there was 7 of us. My eldest brother has passed. He was indeed the smartest, probably, and the slickest. But my eldest brother also liked to borrow money. So we had to come to a common understanding that we don't loan money. We don't loan money to siblings. If somebody's in a desperate thing, we will give you something. We're not loaning. We're going to give it to you. And you're not going to be in a desperate thing often.
Right.
You can't keep coming back.
We're not a bank, but we had to something. I mean, that sounds like, that's not so. It is big.
Oh, it is.
A big thing. But having common goals, common values has been extremely. Both of us were family oriented, and both of us love to travel, and both of us love the theater, and those kinds of things, which seemingly are, but you put them all together, they make this net of what you call 50 years of marriage. You are so lucky.
And I think he knows that.
The last thing I want to mention is that's extremely important is commitment. And commitment actually gets easier over time once you've gone through some things, once you've raised the children, once you've had issues that you've worked through and so forth. It's easier at that point to stay committed. But part of my job periodically is to conduct marriages at City Hall. Mm-hmm. And I almost have to force some of the couples to hold hands. I'm figuring to myself, well, I hope they don't leave here and go straight to divorce court. But the commitment is sometimes difficult early on in the marriage, not immediately, but after a few years in the marriage, your commitment might wane. But once you've had some challenges, once you've worked through some issues, that commitment becomes easier to deal with, and the marriage becomes stronger and stronger over time.
That's listening to those words is like the commitment becomes easier to deal with. Yep. So it's like
over time.
I'm
but you have to go through some things. You have to
deal with.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? You're always going to have something to deal with, right? So to be able to deal with it, to say, hey, look, this is something we can overcome. This is nothing. You know, we've been through this or whatever.
That's right.
That's
right.
where you come to. You life becomes more of a series of joyous things with the other stuff being worked through than a series of awful things with a little bit of joy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And it's just part of this, the reason for doing this podcast is because there are so many marriages that are on the ladder of what you said, right? There's a whole bunch of chaos and a little bit of sprinkles of happiness. And we're trying to get to that point of how can we switch that around?
Right.
How can we help you all to see what is it that we're doing that is not productive in our marriage that can possibly, how can we change our mindset? How can we change the actions that we're doing? How can we change the outcome of where we are right now? Go ahead, Reverend Jackie. I see you want to say something.
And because I feel like maybe I'm tipping into the ministry, but it's real.
That's part of it.
If in fact you're having such a struggle, I want each person to say, check out, how do you feel about you? How do you feel about you? Are you feeling unworthy? Are you feeling unfulfilled about you? Because that indeed will be reflected in the relationship. It comes back to, and this would go back before you got married. If you're real needy, don't even try to date. Back up. If you're not loving yourself, stop. You don't want to meet anybody. You need to make sure that you're feeling good about you so that when we know you attract what you are, you don't attract what you want. And so if you're having a lot of difficulty in your marriage, each of you need to just check out, how am I feeling about me? Am I really hooping and hollering because I'm upset with me? I haven't achieved something. I should have done something. I didn't want to do something. Check it out and get yourself all right, because that'll go a long way in making your marriage really good.
Love it. Love it.
That's right.
Love
Get yourself together. Start with yourself first.
I think if there's anything, that is the biggest key, because like you said, we go into marriages thinking that being needy. Right. And
this person is going to, complete me, and I'm going to be happy if I'm with this person.
Or you're unhappy because, like you said, that person's not there, and so you're like, well, where are you? Because you're needing that person to be right there where you can see them in order for you to feel fulfilled. That definitely, self-love is so vital.
Key. That is key.
And you don't have to be selfish with it. You love yourself, then you can better love your mate. But you got to first love yourself.
It's not selfish. It is not. If you don't love yourself first, my mother used to tell us, I love my mother. She said, I love me some God, but then I love Dove. And I got 7 children. But if I don't love Dove, if I can't go shopping for Dove on Saturday, ain't no need of me trying to think about shopping for my children. So it was really important. If your cup of love is not full, how are you going to share? Whether you want to go to Jesus or somebody else, whoever your theological master is, they will tell you, love your neighbor as yourself. Come on, in there it says, how you feeling about you? Because that's how you feel about your neighbor.
Apparently, because we've gotten excited in our love and marriage.
Reverend Jackie got too excited over there.
Right, she elevated a little bit.
Yeah, no, it is so critically important that both parties turn within and choose to love themselves, because actually a lot of the issues that people have always boils down to issues that might happen because you don't love yourself. Right. Once you love yourself and once they love themselves, the marriage becomes much, much easier to deal with.
Wonderful.
It sure does.
Wonderful. You have any other questions, Jason?
No, actually, I'm just sitting here learning, right? 50 years. I thought I was doing something with my little 31, but 50.
You are, Jason. You are.
No question
You are.
about
You're
it.
learning how to make it to 50.
I am. I'm on the road there, baby, because I think I'm doing pretty good.
I think so.
Oh,
Too.
yeah.
I think so too. I think you can learn. I think you can learn a lot from David.
Yeah, but it's funny. I be checking David out. I be like, okay, yeah, that's a smooth move. Yep, see how that goes. Yep.
Yeah. I think I'm a lot like Reverend Jackie all over the place. Always.
Yeah, always helping, jumping in, taking over, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's all you. Yeah.
I love me some Tina. I love me some Tina. I ain't messing with that. I love me some Tina.
I think there are 2 peas in a pod.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's one sweet pea.
There you go. I'm not going to argue with that. Yes, indeed.
You guys are some lucky men, and we are some lucky women.
Yes.
And if we can drop any type of gems out there to help other people who have taken the vow to be married, and just help them on this journey, right? Just because the point is that back in your day or in my day, marriages just weren't talked about.
Right.
The thing was you grow up, you go to school, and then you get married. But they didn't say what marriage entailed. And that, I think that right there was the failure or the reason why so many marriages fail, because they didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what to do. We don't know how to navigate marriage. And hopefully we can help those marriages out there that are, we're not counselors, but we're trying to help people navigate.
Well,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Very good. I think that is a phenomenal initiative, a phenomenal purpose, a phenomenal mission. And, you do, I'm assuming, as others, and I will tell you, refer them to a spiritual counselor. I'm one. And I refer them to a marriage psychological counselor if you need to. We do that. We want to make sure that if, in fact, more help is needed, my job is not to put you in a box with me. No, my job is to help you as I can and then move you on to someone else if it's beyond me. And so Tina and Jason, what you all are doing is lifting up some ways that most people will be able to use and move through a marriage and even make it happier. But if in fact there's spiritual counseling, dial 773-497-7744. Let's have some spiritual counseling. And if that's not enough, I got numbers that I refer for psychological marital counseling. So,
Put that out there too. You got a number? Can you?
I have a couple that I don't just do one. I do several. So
okay.
Marriage is more an art rather than a science.
Oh, that's good.
What might work in our marriage? Some of the tips that we might impart may not work in your marriage.
Absolutely.
But if you've got a tremendous toolkit, you can pull on those things that will work with your personality and your mate, and things will work out fine.
That
you got to stay spiritual.
Get out of here.
Stay spiritual.
That's the big thing right there.
That in the midst of it all, both of us have a foundation of God and with spirit.
That's right.
And that is really sweet. I mean, even though David won't talk a lot about it, but he's with me at Bible class. He's with me in Power Talk with Reverend Roderick Norton of Empowerment Center for Better Living. Let me give it a plug. He's been at the Christ Universal Temple for 999 years and working in meaningful ways as president of the board of directors with Johnny when Johnny was there, working in meaningful ways so that the spiritual life we have has just grown and continue, and we even now talk about spiritual books.
Wonderful.
You always have to remain spiritual because I say, Lord help me.
David is quiet, but he's funny.
Yes.
Gotta love it. That is fantastic. All right. So is there anything else before we close out?
I just want to say thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for showing us what 50 years of dedication, commitment, love, family, all of those things wrapped up into one. That's what marriage is all about. That's 50 years right there, guys.
Yes,
Pay attention.
And it's good. And I want to lift you and Tina up for doing this. May you continue doing it forever. And may people just continue to grow and blossom in their marriage because of what you're doing.
It's a beautiful thing, for real.
Wonderful,
guys.
wonderful. I know we didn't get deep into it, but Reverend Jackie, do you want to tell the people, where they can contact you, anything that you have going on? The same thing with you, Judge David, if you want to tell. So I know Reverend Jackie has so much. So give us everything. Any books?
Number one, always Gold Rush Women's Conference website. That's as it sounds, GoldRushWomens conference.com. You can reach me 773-497-7744 for spiritual counseling, for classes. And also I am working right now. I just organized an interfaith roundtable working with homelessness, working to eradicate it. And so if anyone's interested in getting engaged in that we have more than 50,000 homeless people in the city of Chicago, and it's growing. And if we truly believe in our theology, we need to put what I call feet on our faith and make a difference in the lives of people who can't. Facts change. And tomorrow, your homeless neighbor may not be so homeless because of what you've done.
Wonderful. All right,
yes.
Judge David.
I'm always open to mentorship. We have young lawyers that oftentimes want some advice that I'm certainly glad to give them. High schoolers, I periodically will go out and do talks at high schools and encourage them to go into the law. So anyone that wants to reach out to me, I'm perfectly willing to do so.
Wonderful.
That is wonderful.
Yes, we bless you and your continued changing the world,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And continued wonderful marriage, because happy marriages are, as we say, is it still back there?
It's on one of these walls.
It moved
down there.
So a happy marriage is something we make. It doesn't just happen.
Yep.
We have to actually.
That's nice.
Yeah, we have to actually invest in it. So I thank you guys so much for giving us.
Thank you so much.
For helping people add to their toolbox.
Thank you.
All right. So as always, we're in it to win it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.